It's a very good morning to my special guest today on Cine Critique. My name is Shane Bassett, and I'm speaking to, well, we're going to see how we pronounce the name properly. Manon Pages. Can you please
I,
tell me how to say it properly?
I think it's pretty good actually, but it's Manon Pages. It's really about what you just said.
Are you French? That's
Yes.
your heritage, and you were born in France?
Yeah, I was born and raised in France. I moved to the US when I was 20.
Why? What brought you to the States? Was it acting, or something else?
I think what brought me was a change of life but I had no idea what I wanted to get in films, but it's not why I moved to the US. I ended up being an au pair for a year, and then I stayed, and then I started doing movies here. So I just ended up here, and I always wanted to do movies, so it's perfect.
Being an au pair, that must have a lot of stories. Maybe you could write a movie about that.
Yes, I think I could.
And
I might.
You should, because I've heard a lot of stories in the past, good and bad.
Yes, mostly. No, I'm not going to say that, but mostly bad, but maybe, I don't know.
That's okay.
It was interesting. Let's say that.
Sewer Gators we'll get on to shortly. This is a film I've only watched this morning, so it's fresh in my mind. But you're currently on the set of your current film, which you're producing. Is that correct? You're involved in it, your production company?
Yeah, so I'm producing. I wrote it. It's a very small budget as well. It's a cyberpunk film, and yeah, we're doing everything ourselves. Hence why my apartment looks crazy.
Well, it looks good. You have a bit of artwork in the background there. I love it.
Right.
So micro-budgeted movies, that's definitely what Sewer Gators is. How did you come about being in the film? You've worked with the director Paul Dale before, of course?
Yes. I worked with him 3 times. The first time I worked with him was on a movie called Silent but Deadly about a killer mime. Which, is great because he's a mime killing people with invisible weapons, which is great on a low budget movie.
Right.
Everything was mimed.
Everything was invisible and mimed. Yeah, cheap.
Yes, it was ridiculous, just as ridiculous as Sewer Gators. And I actually auditioned for that movie, which Paul did not know that I paid an acting coach to audition for his first movie. And he said, "Why did you do that?" And but I'm a professional, so what do you want me to say? And now I've been working with Paul on this. It's the 3rd movie together, and
fast food and cigarettes was the other one, correct?
Yeah,
that looks interesting.
It was very different from these two, because that was definitely more it was a silent film, a hostage situation, and definitely not. I mean, there was it's like dark comedy, but definitely not the same vibe as Sewer Gators or Silent but Deadly.
Well, you play Laura in Sewer Gators. You don't actually come into the movie till about 25 minutes into it. I kept waiting for you. Where is she? And you're a Louisiana Geological Wetlands Department worker. I tried to memorize that, but it's very hard to.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing. That was not easy.
You did well. Most of your scenes were with the sheriff. You combined a pretty good combination with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We, I think so for this movie, Paul, of course, he's always going to say yes to me. And I use this movie to work on my American accent. Just because I was like, you're making me do a ridiculous movie. I will work on something on this. And so he let me do an American accent for that, which, I was like, it's probably going to be terrible, but we don't care, right? And he said, we absolutely don't care. So yeah. And then I did this, it was mostly with Kenny, who plays the sheriff.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun.
So with accents, though, was it hard to learn American accents? Because you're obviously being in America, most of your roles will be not your natural accent. So I hear it's hard to adapt.
it's a lot of work. But I think it's like, at first I thought it was going to be such a fast thing to figure it out, because I feel, I'm a musician. I'm like, I have a good ear, I can figure it out. And then I realized that it was so many levels of accent, and the way I speak every day changed over time, over the years, for sure.
Yeah.
But the first movie that I did with Paul, I think I had been working on my accent for like a week. And I tried this Valley girl accent, which was ridiculous. And people were very confused about, obviously my French accent was so present. And people were like, who is, I heard some podcasts, like, I don't know what's up with this girl. She's a French American, I don't know. So yeah, it's very challenging, but I work with a dialect coach now. So,
okay. What about the Australian accent? Do I sound different to you? Could you adapt my accent maybe?
I could not do it. I could absolutely not do it right now. I would love to eventually. That's kind of like my goal, actually. As American accent is starting to get easier, and able to, I'm able to tackle it by myself sometimes without my dialect coach. I definitely want to develop other accents in the future. So Australian, yes. I mean, I would love to come shoot in Australia. So absolutely. That's something I would love to do.
We don't have gators, but we have crocodiles. Lots of those.
That's fine with me.
Yep,
totally
you're okay?
fine with me. Yeah. I'm good with that.
The location of sewer gators looked very natural. It didn't look like there was any sets. Was it dangerous? Did you get bitten by any bugs, or were you scared at any time of real gators?
No, we didn't shoot that close to the water, so I guess I honestly did not think about that. No, we were shooting in the woods.
Yeah.
So I would say the most dangerous thing we could have encountered were snakes. I was watching for snakes and spiders, because I'm not a big fan of spiders, and mostly because I've shot in Louisiana, not knowing. I'm from France. When I go to the woods, all I will encounter is, well, nothing. It's just birds, maybe. I don't know. And in Louisiana, I have been on sets where I almost walked on a snake. So, I would say that's in the back of my mind when I'm filming. But I was not afraid that we would, stumble upon a gator, for example. For real.
How did you prepare for the role of Laura? Did you have to work with Paul? Did you just go with the flow and be natural?
Well,
how did you do it? Because it was fun. It was a good role, and you're enjoyable in it.
Thanks. What I did was work with my dialect coach. I mean, I worked with I worked on on the script like any actor would do. I always put a lot of work in everything that I do, and Paul was like, yeah, I just feel bad that you're putting that much work into this really silly movie. And I'm like, of course, everything is important. And I definitely worked with my dialect coach because I wanted to show her what I had put together for the accent, and just for the challenge. I wanted the challenge to do the American accent. So that's mostly how I prepared. I practiced with Kenny one day, the sheriff, and no, we just went for it. We shot everything. All my scenes were shot in 2 days.
2 days. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think the whole movie was shot in 4 days, honestly.
Wow, I did not know that. So that shotgun, you handled it quite well. You had experience with guns, or I mean, that's a contentious subject, I know, always.
Yeah.
But in movies,
Right.
Yeah, you're okay with all that?
I'm okay with all that. Yeah. Even though I'm French, I'm okay with, I definitely have shot real guns living in the US now for 12 years. So it happened. I have shot guns. But mostly for me, it's just a part of, I don't have really any interest in them, but for movies, it's necessary to know what it feels like, to shoot a gun, especially because now I think in a lot of movies that I do, when I had to do that, it's all pretend. I'm not really shooting bullets, so I have to just pretend that it's pulling me back a little bit, or things like that.
Sure, and the use of guns in Sewer Gators was all for dark comedy, at least.
Oh yeah. And it was actually plastic guns, so they were super light too. It was like toy guns.
My type of gun, yeah, plastic. That's for sure.
I like that too. Honestly, like for the movie that I'm doing right now, we have this whole scene where we're shooting Nerf guns. So I went back into my we have in my apartment. We just shot 3 people just shooting Nerf guns at each other, like we were 12 years old. It was beautiful.
Well, if I was closer, I'd come and visit the set and join in.
A lot of people wanted to come. Yeah.
Now, how did you keep us? Now, I'll keep it fairly spoiler free because there'll be audiences out there that want to catch this movie, I'd say for sure. But how did you keep your straight face when you were opening up the gator and pulling all those things out? That looked very interesting, and just random things were coming out. I know it was a Jaws reference, but how did you keep a straight face? That was probably my favorite scene in the movie.
I'm pretty sure I did not keep a straight face all the time. But I think it's like, it's just if you really just have to believe that this is happening, and then because it's tough with comedy because you do. You're like, this is a funny scene and people are going to laugh and people are going to laugh at the reference of Jaws and it is ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't want to give spoilers, but I'm pulling out ridiculous things from the gator, just like in Jaws. And I think it's just I don't know. I just really believe that I was like,
you believe in your project.
I was helping the community, making sure that no actually human body was in there. That's how you do it, I guess.
You've worked on a lot of different productions. What is it about independent film that is important to you? Obviously, you're making your own independent film right now, and you've been part of many. Is it important as well as the big budget movies to you? Like how do independent movies sit?
It's definitely very different. But I love, I'm in New Orleans, so a lot of time if I work on an indie film here, we know each other, or at least I know some of the people, and the more you do it, it's like a big family. So you definitely get that family vibe. And Sewer Gators, more than being a family, because we've worked together for I've worked with them 3 films since I guess it's been 3 films, and it's definitely like, I think Paul actually mentions that it's like when we were kids and shooting movies in our backyard or trying. Well, it's exactly that, except we're all in our 30s. It was exactly that feel. It was just, we were joking, it was so not serious. I'm pretty sure one of the guy was completely drunk on one of the scenes too, that he's actually drinking. He was really drunk.
There was a lot of drinking going on. Was it real alcohol? It sounds like it.
I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't do it because then I would not be able to function, but that's my personal,
Sure.
I know myself. But yeah, I think the council scene, the guy is definitely really drunk.
I remember you playing Tabitha in Demigod not that long ago. I reviewed it probably only about a year ago. Yeah. How was your memories of working with Miles? Because he's another indie director that really gets a lot out of his films. Was that a good shoot?
Yeah, and Miles works. It's a completely different style. But Miles does a lot of movies in Louisiana and Mississippi. It was great. It was just odd because we were shooting during the pandemic, and we had this bubble in the woods in Mississippi, and it was very much like a summer camp of adults because we were all in cabins and just not able to get out. I love working. I love Miles. And I'm sure I'll work with him again. He's awesome.
He makes a lot of movies. He's good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure every year he's got something going on. I know he's doing something. He just wrapped one right now and he's doing another one that's going to be quite crazy. I helped him with the music, actually. Not that I created the music at all, but he had like these songs that they made for his movie, and he wanted somebody to just put the chords that he wrote on the lyrics, and I play piano, so I helped him with that so that they could send it to the composer. So I actually helped on the movie that he's about to start right now.
Oh, wow.
But it was more on the technical side.
Do you like playing music? Is that something in France that you did when you were little and it's developed as you got older?
That's actually my initial training. I was in music conservatory in France. I studied classical piano. And it's kind of the reason also that I left for the US. I was burned out, just not really wanting to go to like a superior conservatory, which was, I guess, the path that I should be taken after, wherever I was. And then I was like, no, I just don't think this is my vibe. Like I'm gonna go and be an au pair. And then we're gonna figure this out after. This is really how this all played out. And I'm very happy that, turned out like that. But my music was definitely the start of arts for me.
Do you think that you'll make a musical one day?
I would love to.
They're on the comeback. Musicals have been great for the last decade. They've been slowly building again. Is that something that you might be able to write and star in?
Yeah, I definitely, it's in my mind, especially because I'm bringing back the music into my film world right now. I did the soundtrack for a short film that we did right before that cyberpunk film, and I did the full soundtrack because I just wanted to see if I could, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I think I definitely want to start mixing music. I really miss music. I want to mix it more with, acting is what I want to do. But ideally, I would just like to create everything all the time. I did do a musical, but a short film during COVID. I was not the main character, though. It's called COVID Dependency. It was awarded. It's a great little short film about dating on Tinder during COVID.
Okay.
And the music is great. It's very La La Land. It's very funny. So COVID Dependency, if you catch it on, pretty sure it's on YouTube now, but it's a great one. It's really cute.
I'll tag it on this interview so people can try and find it.
Nice.
How do you maintain your beauty? Like, you work so hard and you look fantastic. You're not tired looking. You're not, you're so fresh. How do you maintain that? Do you exercise? Do you just drink and eat properly? Or are you a natural French?
I guess all of that. No, all of that for sure. I'm a big fan. I discovered Krav Maga and kickboxing and jujitsu not too long ago. I started like 2 years ago. So I definitely do that 4 times a week. That's how I keep my sanity also. I'm actually, as much as people say like you're such a like bright and lovely person and always smiling, I actually have a very angry dark side, like a very Parisian, angry at everybody on the road kind of side.
Road rage.
I need but like road rage, but not with just the road, like just with everything. So fighting, martial art is really good for me.
It's a good release, obviously. It works for
you. Yeah.
Do you have a habit or a routine that you do on all your movie sets or all your projects? Is there something that you do on every set that you can't do without, or do you take something with you?
No, I maybe it will come. I don't know. No, I don't have don't really have a routine. I'm really adaptable, honestly. So like when I show up on a set, if I have a trailer, great. If I don't have, whatever, like I don't care. I'm very easygoing, honestly. So I don't have a routine. I don't need M&Ms in my trailer, all that stuff,
French champagne, none of that.
Yeah. Maybe one day. Okay, maybe one day I'll get to that level. But for now, I just like to show up on the set and be, how can I be of service, and tell me how I can help and make your life easier and make your movie happen. That's like the way I think for everything. It's
very professional. It's really good to hear that, because it sounds like you enjoy your work and you take it seriously no matter what the film project is.
Absolutely. I do it doesn't matter, you know, as much as Paul is always like, are you going to do my next film? You don't have to, because it's ridiculous. And I want to tell you that. And I'm like, as long as I'm free, I will do your reviews. And I will put as much effort into it as I will if I book the show, you know.
That's great.
On TV or whatever.
Have you, over your period of your career, had any hurdles or problems? Because the Me Too and the Time's Up movement is really great now. Things are changing and progressing. Have you ever had any dramas throughout your career, or has it been okay?
I think it's now not so much. Either it's because I got older, I started doing Krav Maga, or that you know, the Me Too movement happened, which I think all of that in general makes me feel more empowered. Sure. But definitely at the beginning, I mean, I'd be lying if that didn't happen, you know, at the very beginning of my career when I was so naive. And, you know, the first audition I remember having, I actually booked the film, and the guy was just like super manipulative, and it's real. Like it's a real thing that it makes you feel terrible, because you're just like, oh, I feel like I can't say no to anybody, even if I'm uncomfortable. And because like, then I look like I'm complicated. And so then you feel like you've approved everything. And so it makes you look like, well, nobody has done anything wrong because you approved it, you know? So it's just a really weird situation that I think a lot of girls end up were put in, and hopefully, I mean, less now. There's definitely something that's been a movement that's been going on. I think it's brilliant. But they are on set, there are for these kind of scenes, you know, and anything that's just more, you know, like more complicated scenes, you have a intimacy coordinator now.
Yes.
Which I think it's awesome. It's so much easier.
For sure. Mm.
And even me, honestly, like even when I did my first scenes as a woman, I was just like, you know, oh, I have to kiss someone. Yeah, okay, no big deal, like whatever. And without even necessarily asking the person, like, hey, are you comfortable if the way we do that? And I feel like even though the Me Too movement was more towards women, I also, it changed me in the way that I was like, I want to make sure that also the guy that I'm with is very comfortable and that we're just on the same page, so that we can just be relaxed. And it's never easy to do those scenes. It's just so much easier when people are like, okay, you know, like, everybody can relax. Great. You know.
I'm glad to hear that it's not been so bad for you throughout. That's great.
No, I can't complain, but I mean, you know, it has been for some people, you know.
Of course, yeah.
But I would say I was lucky in that way.
Do you have any, I'm sure you do, actors or directors that you'd love to work with someday? Have you got any? There's so many, but can you highlight a couple of your, you know, favorite directors or colleagues that you'd love to do a project on?
I mean, I love to work with Spielberg, you know, because it's so much fun. I mean, I love that kind of movies. It's so hard. There's well, Damien Chazelle would be awesome, because I know he does, you know, I'm a big fan of you know, La La Land, and I think Whiplash was him.
Whiplash was an amazing film.
It's one of my favorite right now. I always refer to that one, because even though like my favorite movies, I feel like always change, and I'm not a person that just will watch a movie 20 times, you know, and so I just like to watch a lot of stuff. Yeah. And then I like to come back to it, so I'm surprised by it again. Yeah. But actors, I don't know. Right now, I'm watching a lot of Jeremy Renner. I really like that guy.
That's good.
It's not just I've been watching Mayor of Kingstown, and I'm like, I love that guy. So I don't know.
He's excellent. The Hurt Locker, one of his best films. The Hurt Locker is amazing.
Yeah, that was, I guess, the first film that I remember seeing him in, but that was a long time ago. I need to rewatch it. I just really like the kind of actors that are just so grounded, and just, I don't know, you can just watch them drink a coffee, and then it's so interesting.
I agree. I totally agree. Another great Jeremy Renner movie, The Town, with Ben Affleck. That was also really good.
I've seen it a long time ago, but that's one I actually, The Hurt Locker, I quite remember it, but The Town, I don't remember that movie. I need to rewatch that, especially because I'm really like into Jeremy Renner right now. Just like, I think he's brilliant.
He is. He is. I've had the privilege to interview him a couple of times. He's been to Australia.
Really?
Yeah, to Australia. So yeah,
That's
I can guarantee in real life he's a top bloke. He's a nice guy as well.
I'm not surprised. That's probably why I'm like, this guy is just probably great on top of being great as an actor, you know.
Well, before we wrap it up, a couple more questions. In France, do you remember as a little girl, did you go to movies at the cinema, and were they in English or were they in French? Were they dubbed?
So they were definitely not they were not dubbed. I mean, they were dubbed, sorry, as like a little girl. But I remember going to the movie, you know how my family's not religious at all. I'm not even baptized. I just like, my parents used to take us to the movie theater on Sunday when everybody was in church.
Oh,
so
cool.
And then it's just like, those are the great memories that I have of like going to the movie theater and then eating kebabs after, you know, in that small town of Normandy where I grew up. And definitely the movie love came from, I'm sure that, and then in high school, I started really being into indie films, and I would, you know, at the time, I know, I guess shouldn't say that, but like, there was free streaming online. You could find like easily just how to watch any movie and streaming. Not like, you know, the one you pay for nowadays, but just randomly. Yeah, and I remember I was so interested in watching all the movies, the American movies that were at the Deauville Film Festival, that I was like, but they don't come out in DVD in France, or it takes forever. So I would just try to find them online, but they never had subtitles because it was not yet on a French DVD. So I would watch them like 5 times in a row until I would understand them.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how the whole like indie film developed. I was just watching over and over until I understand the movie.
That's great. That's really good. So you adapted early and just learnt from what you were seeing on screen. I think that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so with Sewer Gators, why should people watch it? Without spoilers, what can people expect, in your own words, when they watch Sewer Gators?
Well, first of all, I definitely think you should be with your friends and have a bunch of drinks. That would be the vibe that you want to be in to watch this movie. Yeah. I think like it's very much a movie that if you did it with your friends and you'd have fun with your friends doing it with your parents' camera, that's kind of like how it would look. I mean, I guess the camera is a little bit more updated now, but very much don't expect a good movie. It is a B movie, a Z movie. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's about gators who come out of the sewer and eat people in their homes. It's a parody of Jaws. It's ridiculous. So definitely don't expect anything serious or high quality. It was a 0 budget movie, or like, you know, I guess that whatever budget went into is a little bit of a special effect for the gators. There
was a little bit of special effects in there with fire and explosions and things.
Yeah. That was quite fun to do. So I would say don't expect anything. Just go in it having fun and wanting to definitely be in the vibe of I'm gonna watch something very silly and have drinks with my friends.
And Manon turns up 25 minutes into it, so hang in there. You'll see her soon. Like, don't turn it off.
Yeah. Well, unless you're really bored, but I hope that you'll have fun. I mean, there's so many, I think there's so many brilliant characters that are hilarious, that some actors that I didn't know, actually, I hadn't met. I think it's really silly and funny. And I'm definitely going to keep doing these kind of movies with Paul as a side thing, you know, just because it's a different kind, but it's just hilarious to do.
You're loyal. A lot of actors who work with indie directors, and if they become, you know, a bit more family. popular, yeah, you stick with that family and still make movies with them because of your loyalty.
Oh yeah, I think Paul is, you know, I think he's brilliant, and I think he just, whenever someone gives him the budget to make a movie, his writing is, he's just so funny. He's like he's very smart, funny. I like the way he writes. He's a very intelligent guy, and as much as the movies maybe the movie doesn't relate that maybe, but I think given the budget and the team, this guy is going to do some really funny stuff.
And we might say that Paul makes a cameo in the film as a news reporter. That's him.
The news reporter. And he did. It's actually a cameo that comes back from the movie that we did, Silent but Deadly. So it's an ongoing joke.
Okay, I'll have to watch that. I haven't seen it, so I will check that out just to see Brock.
Make sure you haven't drank before.
Is there a sequel, Sewer Gators 2, coming? Was there any talk from Paul about that, maybe?
I don't know if there was we definitely talked at the premiere a few weeks ago. We definitely talked about some upcoming, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it. I know that there's some like next scripts just as ridiculous. I don't think Sewer Gators 2 was in there. Okay. But who knows? Depending on how popular it gets, it's possible, Maybe
Gators in Australia. You could make the sequel Down Under.
I mean, if you could get us to all travel there, that'd be amazing. I'm so down. So down to travel and film.
It could be like snakes on a plane, but gators on a plane. You're traveling to Australia.
Yes.
It's a long trip.
I'm gonna just slip that idea for him. I'm gonna text him now.
remember who told you that.
Yeah, absolutely.